The words Jesus spoke are the words calling you to religious vocations. He summons 12 and began to send them out 2 by 2. Words calling men to the priesthood and accepting vows for their sanctification. Jesus requires them to be free of any form of attachment if they are to preach the gospel. The words of the gospel is directed to the 12 apostles, unordained, and at this stage, men chosen to be seminarians, to be priests who live the gospel message and then go out to preach. But with a few words. Take nothing for your journey except your staff. That's in the translation prior to the one which I just read. And my comment to that is that it doesn't mean to take an entourage of people with you when you go out, staff being a number of people, but rather, at this stage anyway, to substitute the staff with a car. Take no food, no bits and pieces, no money. That's simple enough to understand. No clothes except what you are wearing. Again, that's easy enough. So you're reliant on God for the fuel and for whatever your needs are on an hour to daily basis. And people knowing your plight, so you'll be informing people either by begging or they will know by your demeanour that you are someone who is on a mission. Trust God, He will make it clear to people to help you. And you're to receive the offer for accommodation and then take it. For Jesus requires these men to be free of any attachments, to preach the gospel. If only people were able to trust in this dimension, you would find there's a lot more people who would then be realising the great joy of entrusting themselves into the focus of the call, which is that of a religious life or that of priesthood. Because how many times during the day does rationale not help? Does expertise not help? But only trusting in God that He will intervene and help the situation which you'll become aware of. If they are to preach the gospel, they need to detach themselves and depend on God to provide. And this is a call to Franciscanism. In the words of St. Bonaventure, the saint of tomorrow, St. Francis did not just give of himself, but he identified his spiritual mother. The Marian dimensions coming through very clearly now. And Father Peter Fellner, who spoke on Bonaventure, who was one of the great Bonaventurians, said the metaphorical language refers to Matthew 12:50. For whoever does the will of my Father in heaven is my brother and sister and mother. St. Francis conceived a new form of religious life whose members would uniquely follow in the footsteps of Christ. Go back to the origins. Virgo Facta Ecclesia has the origins of the Franciscan mission, and how Our Lady came in, had been praying that this order come to be. By the merits of the Mother of Mercy did this order come into existence, and who was chosen herself by God before time to be Mother of Mercy itself. This notion of spiritual mother was applied to the tertiaries. So Maximilian Kolbe says, to the transubstantiation into the Immaculate in the sense of being other Marys, today and forward, I want you to reflect on this. For many of you, home is a difficult domestic life. It can, for some, be hell on earth, but it doesn't have to be. There is a Marian charism which you have, and the charism is Christocentric. It's life beyond your reach, seemingly. How to take up a life of mercy. What am I to do, you might say, to take up a life of mercy? Specifically outside of the home, I refer you to. Outside the home life is an order for you to regenerate your home life with mercy. If you can't do it at home, outside you'll learn. The poor will show you, those in need will show you, so you can then take back what they taught you back into the home. Now, to do that, you need to be detached from your slack time. And we're all got that, and we will need to make reparation, hopefully in this life, but otherwise it's purgatory. And that slack time has crept in on our daily schedule, especially with the type of weather that we've been having, where the humidity's high. We tend to lounge around like potatoes. I want you to talk about this guidance with your minister today, to spur you on, to get you off your butts, to begin acquiring the habit of giving way to self and go outside yourself for the comfort of others, not seeking your own comfort first. In the words of St. Benedict Abbot, to care for another before you care for yourself. Mary did exactly that. She took on the Passion of Christ moments after the birth of Christ. Veronica Giuliani, whose day of a memorial we celebrated recently, a great mystic, unknown to many, but one which the religious order of the Franciscans of the Immaculate has taken on as a wonderful insight into how to live the Franciscan life. She took, I'm talking about Our Lady now, the sufferings of Christ from that moment when he was born. She saw the flagellations, the marks in his hands as an infant. Our Lady started to suffer right there and then, and suffering for each and every one of us, because she was and is co-redemptrix and co-sanctifier of the human race, in the sense that she cooperated in a unique way, in a way which no other person was ever able to offer, so much so that she's quasi-divine in the sense that she gave birth to the divine person, Jesus Christ, the second person of the Blessed Trinity. So she suffered mystically. So the beautiful pictures and images that you see of her, there's a deep suffering going on, because she's suffering the passion of Jesus for her duration as from the birth of Jesus himself. So when you renew your consecration today, identify with Our Lady her desire for you to be a fit instrument in her immaculate and most merciful hands for introducing and increasing your glory to the maximum in all the many strayed and indifferent souls. You got it? Strayed and indifferent souls. You need to move outside of the home to be able to minister to those inside of the home, because those outside of the home will appreciate your outwardness, whereas those inside of the home don't necessarily do that. But you can come back refreshed, because the poor and the down and outs will be ministering to you. And each and every one of us suffer in that direction, because we are sometimes in a desperate situation, because we're being subject not only to the climatic conditions, but a lot of other information which is coming to us through media. To help extend as far as possible the blessed kingdom of the Sacred Heart of Jesus, acts of charity cover a multitude of sins. When you slip up, when you fall, ask Mary for a chore of love that will get you up, and it's the start again on your road to perfection. Our Lady of Mercy, pray for us.